Welcome back. Picking up on our last conversation, in Maine, Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner will hold a town hall today, just 2 days before Tuesday's primary. He's favored to win, but with his recent scandals, voters are torn. Joining me today for the roundup, we've got Atlanta reporter Caitlin Ross, Sirius XM culture and economics contributor Drew McCaskill, and retired Judge Ashley Wilcott, all vets of the roundup. So we've got a good conversation for you this morning. Let me start with you, Drew, and Graham Plattner. I asked the reporter there in Maine about, is there potentially a message in the margin with the governor, Janet Mills, reminding people that she suspended her campaign, but she's still on the ballot? And so some of those people who don't like the allegations that have come out, that maybe she's a way to express that.
I honestly think that this is going to be a real indicator for what's coming in American politics in general. Like, I think the electorate, particularly the young part of the electorate that everyone really wants to get out to vote, the way that they think about what disqualifies you as a candidate is totally different from my generation and my parents' generation. And so I think that this is going to be a real signal to the Democratic Party, right? Yeah. That some of the things that have happened with Republican politics, where the bar has just moved, whether you think it's lower or higher or whatever you think it may be, is that the things that disqualified candidates before will not disqualify candidates now.
I mean, imagine 10, 20 years ago, a Nazi tattoo or something related to Nazi, and you still get the nomination.
And you still get the nomination.
Yeah. Well, I think you make such an interesting point with young voters because they are chronically online. And so they're seeing so much of this messaging over and over and over again. And if they still decide to vote for him, seeing all of that, I think you're right. It does send such a different message than we're used to. And I think it also speaks pretty loudly to party establishment that they're looking for outsider candidates. They're not looking for the run-of-the-mill people who they're used to. They're looking for someone who's willing to come from the outside and shake things up.
That's because democracy has become so individualized, and they're willing to overlook a lot of the things that in the past, to your point, Victor, individuals were not going to overlook because it signified what that person stood for that we won't accept, like a Nazi tattoo.
We'll see if that translates to the general election that comes in November. Again, this is the primary happening Tuesday night. Let's talk about this trial. Carmelo Anthony, this is in Texas. This is the now 19-year-old, he was 17 at the time, who admitted that he stabbed another 17-year-old, Austin Metcalf. This was at a track meet. He's claiming self-defense. He says the cases that he went into the other team's tent, that the other student then kind of roughed him up to get him out. He had a hand in his bag and said, according to the report, touch me and see what happens. And then when he was touched, stabbed him in the chest. What do we need to know here about the claim of self-defense as the defense starts to put their own case on?
First of all, I don't think it's a race thing in this particular case, because self-defense claim is, did the defendant reasonably believe that he had to use immediate force because of the threat that was being posed? And in this particular case, he's saying, yes, absolutely. It's going to come down to his testimony because it's subjective. Can he convince a jury that his perspective is right and that it was because of what this other individual did, laying hands, shoving him, which is what he alleges, that he had to use force?
So we put the pictures of the two up, and on the question of race, when it comes down to this jury, you've got a black defendant and you have no black members of the jury. Let me add this information. Duke University study surveyed hundreds of cases and found that when there were no black jurors in a pool, conviction rates for white defendants was 66%, for black defendants with no black jurors, 81%. And even if you add just one black juror, conviction rates were nearly identical, 73% for whites, 71% for blacks. Drew, you think no race issue here?
Oh, this is absolute. This is Texas. This is, there are no black jurors sat on a jury in Texas, which has a huge black population, right? What this signals to me, I mean, the reason why Batson versus Kentucky even exists is that you can't disqualify a juror based on race, right? And you've got no black jurors on this trial. This is absolutely about race. And I think what it signals to African Americans is that we don't trust you to be fair in this situation, but we expect you to trust the decision that comes out of it. I saw Judge Hatchett when this conversation came up, and if she rings the bell on this and is ringing the alarm on this in some way, I think we should all pay a whole lot of attention to it. This signals to Black families and Black households in Texas that you are not trusted to make this decision, and we expect you to fully accept it when it comes out.
But those are two different issues. So the race issue exists because there's no Black on the jury. That I agree with 100%. That's the problem. Was that a factor in him stabbing the other individual? I don't think it was.
I hear the distinction here.
Yes, I hear a big distinction because I agree with you. Race is now an issue, and this jury is much more likely to convict because there's not a Black.
And could come back up on appeal.
Yes, and that's a huge problem. I agree wholeheartedly.
So what I keep hearing over and over again is this will be an issue on appeal. This will be an issue on appeal. Well, if it's going to be an issue on appeal, why is it an issue right now? I don't understand why that's not being addressed.
Because it depends on what you raise and how the court rules, and you don't always like what the judge does, right? That's the reality, and the way to rectify that is to appeal. That's the way our system's structured.
Let me talk. I'm skipping ahead. We're going to Elon Musk because this is something we talked about during the break. SpaceX is expected to start trading on the NASDAQ on as early as Friday. It could turn the already richest man in the world into the first trillionaire. And you were giving us a stat in the break of just how much $1 trillion is.
If you spend $1 million an hour per hour every single day, it wouldn't even amount to $1 trillion after 100 years, 1 century of spending. That's crazy.
And look at this. Look at this. 1 trillion seconds. 1 million seconds is 11 and a half days. That would put us at next Friday, June 19th. 1 billion seconds is a little less than 32 years, puts us in 2058. 1 trillion seconds is 31,689 years. We would be in year 33,786. It's unfathomable how much money.
It is.
It's unfathomable.
It's not a real number.
Listen, once you become a trillionaire, you become a completely different class of human.
You have more money than most countries.
You have more money than most countries, than the GDP of most countries. And then you have to figure out, what does it mean for one person, one individual, to have that much power over all of the rest of us, right? Because you enter a different class, right? I don't think that Elon Musk is going to be Tony Stark, fighting crime in the middle of the night on behalf of humanity. We have to figure out as a collective, what does it mean for someone to have that much power?
And where's the philanthropic use? We were talking a little bit about that. He has a foundation, but I sure would like to see him front and center with what he's doing for good with that money.
Right. If you've got $1 million a minute for the next 100 years, let's see $1 million going to some philanthropic efforts. I agree.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Even the Pope has weighed in on how much what we're talking about with CEO wealth and what the wealth class of this large-esque wealth class.
And he will be in a class by himself. I mean, there was a time we were talking about the millionaires and billionaires, and now we're talking about the billionaires and trillionaires.
It's impossible to conceptualize. It's just so much money.
Everybody stay with me. We've got a lot more to talk about, including J-Lo. She said, we are not the same. Her controversial take on what makes someone a real New Yorker, that's coming up in the Roundup. And if you're heading out, take us with you. Remember, you can stream our show from anywhere in the U.S., right from the CNN app. You can also go to CNN.com/watch.